In 5, 4, 3.
You're listening to another podcast, another broadcast of Immigrant Podcast, joined by the ladies of NBNI, Tiger Lily Hill, Nick Stewart. It's just a lovely situation. Always gracious to have them in the studio here on the mic with us today. Big shout out to my man Paul over here, my executive producer. He's doing an excellent job as usual. So we want to acknowledge Paul for his great work. We were having a great conversation before the break, right? We were talking about immigrant parents. We talked about immigrant culture. We're talking about thriving immigrants. All right. So now we want to talk about the impact of immigrants in the United States. So we want to expand on you two yourselves. Tell us all the great things that you've been doing, all the great things you're adding to this beautiful country that we live in. Because I think a lot of times, we might be in here sounding like we're giving the United States a hard time, but we love this country, right? Yeah. So expand on that a little bit. Expand on what you're trying to bring to this culture, how great you're trying to be as a Caymanian in America.
Okay, so for me, I feel like I wanted to come to the United States because there was just more opportunity. What I wanted to do as a model, I don't feel like I could have done that in the Cayman Islands. There wasn't enough opportunity.
No way.
I couldn't make a living off of it, but also I didn't feel like there was enough of it for me.
And I gotta say something, not only the Cayman Islands, but generally in the Caribbean as well. That was just not a platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I tried in Jamaica. I lived in Jamaica for a couple of years as well. And it there was some, but I felt like there wasn't enough. Like I felt like that was at level 1. And there wasn't a level 2.
Right.
So I took myself to the United States and it went really well. At first it did not, and I had to come back home and try it again. But with everything, there's trial and error. And
hold on there. I gotta say something there, because that is exactly what we're talking about here. The drive is that an immigrant thing? Because I think a lot of kids your age, a lot of models in your situation, if they were born here in the United States, do they come with a little bit more sense of that's supposed to happen? And if it didn't happen, then how is that happening to me? When in your situation, you're like, I'm going to make that happen. And it didn't work out the first time. Oh no, that won't stop me. I'm going to go do that again. Is that an immigrant cult? Is that a cultural thing?
I would say yes, because we go to America where we think is the land of opportunity. So we know we have to try harder. For the people who are here, they know that they have all of these options. They have a lot of options. They don't have to go outside of their comfort zone, not necessarily.
Right.
They know that they're protected and they're safe. Right. They know that if they fail, their mom probably lives in the neighborhood. They can go, even if they're homeless, it's a different.
You can move to another state. You can get welfare, Social Security.
Welfare, all of that. And I feel like it's just like a blanket. Yeah. And then when we come here, we don't really have a blanket, or we don't feel like there is a blanket. We're already seen as an outsider.
Let me ask, and this question goes for both of you. You as well, Tiger. Is there some resentment to people who are born in this country, for people like yourselves who come here and thrive? I'm not saying there is. Do you sense it? Do you feel it? Is it a thing in the industry? Is there some resentment to you guys thriving and being so fortuitous in the United States?
I've heard stories, but from my circle, I was fully welcomed by my African American friends and even my Caucasian friends. Fully welcomed. They are well traveled,
right?
And even if they're not well traveled, they're well studied, so they understand that people are from different, diasporas and different places, and they are open and welcoming. But I have heard that other people sometimes don't feel as welcome. But back to Nick's point, I know I couldn't come here and fail. I don't have time for failure. So that accountability, and it's not the stress from, say, my mom and dad. I just wanted to prove them and let them know that you invest in me to come and do this degree for $70,000. I'm going to come back with a piece of paper regardless,
Mhm.
period,
Mhm.
right? So you put the money into me, I'm going to give you that paper at the end of the 3.5, 4 years. So the accountability for me was strong. And also, I live in La La Land. I dream so big. I feel like anything whilst I was here was possible.
I gotta say this. Do you think that when a kid is sent overseas to say the United States or Canada or the UK by Caribbean parents, do you think that child is thinking, not only do I not want to let my parents down just because they're my parents and because they've invested in me, but I would be letting my parents down, who would be letting down my entire community?
That's it.
Is that part of it
You
to
have it on
you?
your back. For me,
I feel like, Nick, you have a lot of that on your back from the Cayman Islands because people are expecting a lot from you in this industry. And because you've flourished so far, they expect you to continue doing that, right? And if something goes awry, do you think they can't wait for that to happen so they can say, I told you so?
Oh my God, yes. So how I came here, my mom didn't even know that I was coming. I just took her credit card and I bought myself a ticket to the United States because I have a plan. And I feel like
That's a good investment in a credit card use,
let
though.
me tell you, if I feel like I feel like the people who leave their country to come to the United States or are dreamers.
yeah. Yeah.
There is dreamers, and I feel like we are fueled by like our goals and what we want. I don't feel like people who leave are people who stay aren't the dreamers. The ones who leave, it's like something tugging at them.
Funny that you said that because in a lot of ways, I think we are fulfilling a lot of the dreams of our parents,
Our
the
grandparents.
opportunity,
For
our
us,
grandparents, the
it's
opportunities that
absolutely.
they didn't get.
This is exactly what our grandparents wanted. for
Yes,
us.
and I feel like we kind of inspire the ones behind us to also that yes, you can go leave. Yes, you can go leave. Fail, still come back and go back and still be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like there is a lot of all right. Let's watch and see what she do because what I am doing isn't necessarily what you grew up knowing to do after high school.
Right.
You go work at a bank.
Right.
You know, you have babies, you get married, and you start a generation.
Right. And first of all, there's a lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
who are listening to this podcast who are not familiar with the Cayman Islands. An extremely beautiful place, an extremely fortuitous place. There's a lot of financial
Hour away
things.
from Miami.
Yeah, it's an hour away from Miami. It's beautiful. And I don't know how else to word this, but it's a very rich island. It's a very rich country,
We're known as
okay?
the rich immigrants. We're
So,
known as the rich immigrants.
We're not
definitely rich.
we're not crying over here.
No.
But there's some things that you just don't have in the Cayman Islands. And being a model is one
It's a
of
lot.
those. Being a fashion designer is one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Being
like film industry.
industry.
The
There's
list
so
is
many
long.
things. And in a lot of ways, after 18, being an athlete is also the case. There's
was
nothing.
your- yes.
Yeah, in my case, that was the case. There's nothing else you can ascend to in the Cayman Islands after 18 years after playing high school
Yeah.
soccer, track, or whatever. So, in a lot of ways, it's something that we all had to do, right? What do you think of that? Is that a fair statement?
It is a fair statement, and honing back into the accountability and the dream bigger. Yes, we are victims of that. We suffer from success in the Cayman Islands. There's no question about it. But for the odd person that is not getting into the finance industry, we really have to push to the States. We have to push to the UK, and we have to try even just harder in order to put one foot in front of the other. To elevate to a career that is not well known.
Absolutely, I feel you. So NBNI.com is the website for
CC.
.cc, and if you wanted to find Tiger Lily, it would be Tiger Lily Hill
On Instagram.
on Instagram. And if you wanted to find Nikita, it would be Nikita Stewart on Instagram. What are the other handles we have going on here, just to get the public out there? We want to talk about.
Clarify. Next.
NBNI.co is our Instagram. We're doing a merger, but NBNB.
Yeah, nothing but that.
Nothing
It's
but
gonna
that
become
body
all
is
into
the
NBNI.
swimwear line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it'll all be
Under
together.
NBNI.cc website and NBNI.co on Instagram.
We got 5 to 6 months left in 2023. What are you guys gonna finish with? I know you guys always finish with a big bang. Something's coming. You might not want to tell the public, but in a little soft way, what can we look forward to?
More success, more money,
Be more specific, Nick.
Okay.
Come on. Yes, we all want more success and more money. Paul is over here very successful. He's expecting something at the end of this day. But expand a little bit more. Are we working with a new design? Is there going to be a new designer? Are we going to expand the company? Are we hiring people? We watched the Nike, the movie Air the other day, and that was very inspiring. So I knew how Phil Knight grew from a one-man operation to a 1,000-man operation.
Yeah.
Is something like that in the future for you guys? Are you going to upsize, downsize, re-energize, reinvigorate? What's the plan? Just expand a little bit more before we get out of here.
Nick talked about honing in and doing that merger. So within that merger, we really want to focus on the agency, the management agency that we have, because we have a pool of talent, people of color,
Right.
both male and females, and we want to get those individuals. We're sort of like a mother agency, a management agency.
Okay. Is there a project to look forward to in the immediate future,
What
like
we
from any
want-
one of your talents?
No, what we want is to get all the talent signed, as you said before.
Right. Okay.
So we are the mother agency. We get them signed to larger agency. They start to work, and then it now becomes a stream of income.
If somebody was listening to this podcast today and they was like, hey, I got all these things. I got the goods. I can act, or I could sing, or I could be a model, or I could see myself being in a movie. I got training. How would they get in touch with you guys? What would you tell them to do to get in touch with you guys or somebody else? Or how would they bridge that gap in, especially because that's what we're talking about here, giving people opportunities that are not in the United States. How would they do that?
So we have a website called NBNI Submissions, and you can submit on there. I would say have your content together, and the content could just be digitals.
Okay.
On there, you put on your measurements, your digitals, what you're into, just information about you, and then if you're ready, we can have a conversation. If we're interested and we feel like we can offer you guidance, and it can be a fruitful partnership, we'll reach out and then we can just go from there.
Are we doing another workshop, seminar sometime soon? Because I've known you've done that in a recent history.
Nick continues to do workshops.
Right, workshop, seminar we can look
She
forward to.
collaborates with
Whether here or in the Cayman Islands or anywhere.
We have a casting coming up in Los Angeles. I guess, what would you call that? Like an open call?
It's an open call.
We have an open call coming up in Los Angeles, and then we're doing one in Miami.
Yeah, so that's new for us.
Awesome.
Because Nick is now sort of in between Los Angeles and Miami, so we're going to use that, that openness and maybe go down there and see if we can expand down there.
Like when you were a little girl, you two were a little girl. When I was a young man, we were in the Caribbean dreaming of fulfilling all our goals. I wanted to play in the World Cup final. I got kind of close. I wanted to be the 100-meter champion in the Olympics. And I know you guys had your dreams as well. To a dreamer out there that's listening to our podcast right now, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, think about if the goal you have, if it is a SMART goal, and that means if it's measurable, attainable, if there's a timeline, and just think
And real.
If it do your research.
You don't have to
Do
copy
you want it
someone.
enough?
Yeah.
Figure out what your why is. If you have a strong enough why and that kind of drives you, and there's something deep down in you that pulls on you that says that I need to be doing this, I can't sleep, I can't, I'm miserable at my day job, or figure out what it is that you need to do, and just do it.
And just go hard, right?
Just do it. Like, don't wait.
You want to expand on that a little bit,
No,
Tyler?
I agree with Nick. That's exactly how I felt when I was a 17-year-old. Just like going to high school, Hurley's was across the street. I was looking at magazines. I knew I wanted a fashion design degree, but in the end I got an apparel manufacturing degree, which was, sometimes when you have a goal in your head, you don't really know the specifics, but you kind of see it. And so in the end, I ended up doing apparel manufacturing at Central St. Martin's, and then also got a finance degree, which now I use that finance degree and also the apparel manufacturing degree. So, be real with yourself, but get happy and see what you want. Just see what you want, because you have to visualize.
Yes.
We're all going through this thing now where there's some sort of realistic way we're doing things. We have to see it, we have to want it, and then we have to grab it, you know. That's how I'm in my 40s, so I'm a little bit more mature than you guys, but from the beginning to end, I was always dreaming and seeing what I wanted.
Yeah.
And that's the only advice I have. Make sure that it's realistic, and then also make sure that you follow through.
Well, I want this podcast to work, and even with my bad attitude, I'm still gonna keep trying plugging away.
Yeah.
And I think
Great attitude.
your attitude and
Yeah.
how you work and you know what you're willing to do does play a role in how successful I think you will be.
And it's
How
all
do you
about
stay
the
focused?
journey.
How do you stay focused though? Because there in this generation we have so many different things going on. The next generation as well. They're doing this, they're doing that. And we find that we're looking around where Nick and I, we want to sort of hone in. We're always talking about how can we just like get it tight. What are you doing?
Personally, as the host of this program, I know my personality.
Yeah.
So it's good for me to have people around like yourselves who don't need much motivation
Yeah.
and who are willing to pass that drive on to the people you are around. So my advice would be to get yourself a nice team, which like you guys are.
You know what?
If you can
That's
surround
right.
yourself with like-minded people who are
Yeah.
trying to do something, it doesn't have to be in your industry.
Yeah.
But I always tell people like I'm the brokest one of my friends. You know what I mean? You don't want to hang out with broke people. You want to hang out with. I'm just saying.
I love
Yeah.
broke people.
But what are you gonna get from them? If everybody's broker than you, then they're
Are
gonna
they
drive you down.
inspirational? Are they
Yeah,
smarter
but
than
I'm
you?
just saying.
Yeah. You know
But I
what?
get what you guys are saying. But success
Yeah.
is with finances.
Yeah.
Success
You have
is
to merge
equivalent
the
with
ideas
finances.
with finances.
That was just a little joke in my way, but there's a lot of things like that. So I would say find yourself something that you want to accomplish in life. Find yourself a team that can help you accomplish those goals. It could be your mom, it could be your little brother, it could be your homie up the street. But just find people who are as motivated as you. All right, does that sound good to you guys? Is that what you did?
I agree.
Absolutely. And I feel like just remember it's about the journey and not the end.
Yeah.
It's about the journey.
Yes, ma'am.
You gotta enjoy getting there.
This is true. From a group of people who have enjoyed this journey today, I'm thankful to have these ladies on my podcast. I'm thankful for Paul, my engineer extraordinaire. I do want to sign out, but I don't really want to use the word sign out, even though I already did. So just want to say thanks again one more time to Tiger Lily Hill, Nikita Stewart from NBNI. All right. I got that right. Yeah, right. NBNI. And if you want to reach out to these women, the Instagram page is nbni.cc.
That's CC.
That's CC for the website.
Yeah.
And if you want an opportunity in film or fashion, they have something for you there. There's a submission part on the website where you can just submit to them something that you think you're good at and you want to work on in the future. And I'm 100% sure one of these ladies will get back to you in some way. It could be positive. It could be not as positive.
If we're interested, we can get back to you.
But they're going to give you something real. You're going to get something real on this podcast as well. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm your boy, Nikolai Hill. Big shout out to my boy, Paul. Until next time, peace.
Booyaka.